Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Media Buff Podcast, the podcast about anything and everything media related. I'm your host, Ed, and with me is Matt and Lane. Say hello, you two.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, you cut out a little bit there, Lane. So before we begin with the episode, we do have a bit of an announcement. We're actually changing the name to our podcast to just the Media Buff Podcast, mostly because since we have ladies in the crew, just seems a little what's the word you were using, Lane? A little too broish to use
It
Media
just
Buff guys.
What the original logo with the buff arm and stuff
Yeah.
is like Jim Bro
Yeah.
vibes.
Yeah, we also changed the our logo, so you will be able to see it on the Spotify podcast, and you will be able to see it on this video when well, if you're watching it on YouTube. Actually, you'll be able to see it on the podcast as well because I'm going to use it as the backdrop for the video. But yeah, hope you guys like it. Let us know what you think of it in the comments. Okay, so for this episode, we actually wanted to do it earlier this in October because it seemed more appropriate for Halloween, but we couldn't get around to it mostly because we hadn't seen it. We're going to be talking about the new series on Disney Plus called what is called Agatha All Along or Agatha or Westwood? Because I
It's
saw
called
Agatha on Westwood on the first episode.
it's called Agatha all along.
Okay, yeah.
yes.
We're just gonna kind of do a quick review of the season one, what we liked about it, and what it pertains to in the Marvel extended universe, which is pretty massive at this point, especially the live action one. But so with that being said, this is your first official spoiler warning. But before we begin, a quick word from our affiliate Maono, and if you can hear us, we're all using the mics. And if you want to sound as good as that, or if you want to buy some decent mics without paying too much, definitely check them out. Affiliate link is always in the description below on my YouTube page. Or if you're following us on Instagram, it's on our link tree. If you use code word MediaBuff, you get 10% off your first purchase. So check them out. So go ahead and take point, Lane. Try to do a quick
I'm gonna
synopsis.
go.
A
I'm gonna
quick
read it
synopsis,
very
please.
quickly. Very quickly. I'm just gonna read this dialogue right here that I
There we go.
found
She's
very
got it written
quickly.
down. She's got it written down.
So it's gonna be super quick. Just a couple sentences, nothing crazy. Okay. Excuse me. So Agatha All Along is set after the events of WandaVision. So if you haven't watched WandaVision, it would be helpful to also watch this.
Yeah, it's
So
sometime
you
few
have,
years after that.
yeah, it takes place 3 years after the events of this.
Hmm.
Um, so you'd have to be able to kind of get a little bit of backstory. But if you don't feel like it, you can still watch it and not feel completely lost, I feel.
They do some
Um,
exposition in it and then talk
yeah,
about the previous event.
for sure. So this series follows Agatha Harkness, who is a witch who we are introduced to in WandaVision. And this is kind of like her story about what has happened to her after Wanda. She had her encounters with Wanda in the series, and this is kind of her story about how she recruits some unlikely allies on her quest to regain her former powers, which she lost, and uncover the secrets of the Darkhold along the way. So the cast is perfect. I mean, you have Catherine Hahn coming back as Agatha Harkness.
Hmm.
We have the ever amazing Aubrey Plaza, who is cast as the character of Rio Vidal. Joe Locke, who is the teenage companion to Agatha. He just goes by Teen. Um, Patty LuPone's in it as Lilia Caldero.
Hmm.
Sashir Zamata as Jennifer Kale. I probably butchered that name. Um, so
So Shia
sorry.
Samata, yeah.
Yeah, I hope I pronounced it right. I apologize
Hmm.
if I did not. Um, Alia, I'm gonna say this wrong too because I can't pronounce certain
You
things
got it,
together.
Alian.
Allion is Alice Wu. And then Deborah Jo Roop is Mrs. Hart, and she is essentially from the first season, and she plays a really
Hmm.
great character.
Yeah.
Um,
She's also Kitty in that 70s show.
yes.
Uh,
So this like cast, they just flow so well together. Um, and it's let's see, 9 episodes long. They're not too long. I think each episode is between like 36 and 50 minutes. And they have a really good flow to them. And one of the things I like about this show is it is set in the Marvel universe, but it isn't so much like Marvel heavy. It's really just a story about like Agatha. So we get to learn more about her when she's a really interesting character. And the people that go with her on this journey and like their stories are also unique, um, different, and I don't know. I just really liked it, and so so I had to tell you guys to watch it so we could talk
yeah, she
about
was
it.
she was like kind of edging us to watch it for a while, and yeah, we were kind of reluctant, but we got around. Matt and I got around to it. I watched it in like 2 days. Matt, how long did it take you?
Like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was really fun. So what
Okay.
did you guys? So yeah, that's about it. I feel like I got it out.
No, that was good.
Now we can pretty much
Yeah.
start talking about I guess what we liked about it and episodes and kind of do, you know, whatever we usually do.
Mm-hmm. Why don't you go, Matt? What you liked about the show so far?
Okay, I'm gonna first start off and say I did not really like the show,
Yeah,
and
that's fine.
I'm gonna explain why. Because, like I think it was like reverse WandaVision, as in like WandaVision started off like not that good, and then towards the end of it, it like its conclusion was really good. I thought Agatha was the reverse of that. It started off good, and then as it went on, it just got worse. And my reason behind that is because like I agree with Lane that the cast of characters and the characters themselves are interesting. However, like when the protection witch went like and the same thing with Kitty. Like they immediately kill Kitty off in the second episode.
Yeah, Mrs.
And
Hart.
like it's been like really cool to see her story throughout this series, right? But they just like that was like kind of thing they did a lot is that like they had these interesting characters set up and then their stories abruptly end.
Well, I feel like that was kind of like the point of of the season, because almost in every trial, at least one of them died, and I feel like that was
Yeah,
part of the flow of the story, um,
I mean,
because it added more consequence to their adventure to get to the end of the road. Because the plot of the season is them going through this thing called the Witch's Road, and if you get to the end of it, it grants your most inner wish. And I guess each of them wanted to get their powers back because I guess they lost it over time or something happened to them that caused it to lose it. So they figure, let's go through the road so we can do it, but they have to complete these tasks. Unfortunately, each task takes a toll, and it's based off each one of them, which is something I like.
I
Yeah, me
under
too.
I
Yeah,
understand that, but you could have still set it up to where
nobody
they
dies.
no, where even if they do die, like their character development is for the most part completed.
Well, they actually did a good job of doing that as well, because in every trial, since it's based around each individual one, you see a quick backstory. You see how they lost their abilities or why they lost their abilities, and basically what they had to do to overcome that turmoil to get it back. But
And then they
unfortunately,
die.
somebody dies.
And then they
Now, it
die.
wasn't
Like there's
necessarily
no
that that person
completion to
died in
that.
their trial, but unfortunately, one person kind of didn't always make it out during each
Yeah.
trial. But they did a decent job
I think like
on developing their stories.
I think the only one where they kind of got it right except for I felt the episode just took way too long, was the fortune teller witch. Like how she kept going like through like past, present, future as herself, and it showed all the different and it showed like when she was talking how it was like kind of crazy, but it made sense based on the timeline
Yeah.
that she was in. And, and then like now this episode, like I think it did it way too much with like the time jumping, like how like they pretty much pulp fiction that episode, but it was like kind of overused in my opinion. So like if but like the way like she figures out but the way everything's figured out and the way you see it through her eyes was really cool, and especially with the conclusion at the end where she figures out she's traveler.
Yeah. No, I mean, I actually did like that aspect because if you watch every episode and each episode, at least one time in each episode, there's a scene where she's either losing it or she says something out of character or just completely out of um the flow of what's going on in
Mm-hmm.
at that time. So you can't really figure out why she's saying the things that she's saying until you get to that episode and then everything clicks, and she was basically because time isn't linear,
Yeah.
she was basically living through each event at the same time, which is actually a very good theory of relativity of how we can exist in multiple planes at the same time regardless of what time we're born in or we stand in. So I thought that was cool. I thought that
Yeah,
they
Yes.
me
did a
too.
really good job and not only showing her why she was quirky and why she was acting a certain way, but basically wrapping up her story and ending her story. And even as she was saying that she fears death. I mean, who doesn't? Her I don't know if that was her grandmother in the scene where she's training with her, but she
Mm-hmm.
basically
Yeah.
tells her like death comes for us all, and she's like, "Is that supposed to be comforting?" I'm like, "Yeah, it kind of is because that's something we all share, and it's something you should embrace, and you shouldn't be afraid of it because it's just another phase to your journey, you know." So I actually did like that.
Yes.
Mostly because one, in every episode she always did something really quirky and weird. And you're like, why is she doing that? Why is she acting like that? And one thing that kind of that kind of reminded me of that was the one movie with Ashton Kutcher, The Butterfly Effect.
Butterfly
You guys
effect.
remember that?
Yes.
So that scene, those scenes, and then that conclusion at that episode made me think of that movie because I'm like, okay, because that's exactly what was happening to him. He had these episodes where he blacked out and he didn't know why, but in reality, he was time jumping, and that's basically what she was doing. It's not so much.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you could call it she was time jumping, but I guess you can say she was being clairvoyant at the specific time and she just seen certain events that were happening. And she even tells Agatha at the end of the episode, when her and Rio are fighting, she tells her like when Rio says you're a coward, hit the deck, and she does, and it saves her
Yeah.
life. So I mean, I like that. I mean, it wasn't the best way, and yeah, I'll agree that it was a little overused, but I still think they did a pretty good job just explaining why she was the way she was.
Yes. See, and but that's what I mean. So another episode that I thought they did really well, and one that I did enjoy a lot, but up until the end, is when they're on the cabin and like Agatha and they're messing with the Ouija board,
Hmm.
and like Agatha is confronted by her mother,
Hmm.
Hmm.
and then the protection witch, which I forget her name,
Allie.
uh, Allie, yeah, she ends up breaking the curse that is set upon her and her family.
No, that's
And
in
then,
that's in another episode. That's when they're in the recording studio. Allie breaks
That
the curse.
episode right before that.
Yeah, right before that
uh,
one. Yeah, that was a good
okay,
episode, by the
but
way. I like
either
That
that one.
way,
was.
like she broke the curse, and I'm like, okay, cool. Where are we gonna go with this? And then she's dead, and
Hmm. And it's funny because
that,
as the season progresses, she actually because Rio picks her. Oh, spoiler alert of everybody! Rio's death in this season.
yeah,
So when Rio comes for her, she's like, "So I just broke my family curse and now I'm dead." And she's like, "Yeah." It's like it happens sometimes, but
yeah,
and she's like, "No, I could have done so much more now. Now that my curse is broken, I could have done a lot of stuff." Like, yeah, but unfortunately, this is how it happens, and it's not anybody's fault. It's just the way it is, and she ultimately kind of like accepts it. I mean,
Yeah,
you can't really do anything about it.
but that's what I mean with like the show. It's like they set up these interesting characters with these interesting
And
stories,
then they died.
and then they just like take it away from you. It's like
Well, they
why?
Game of Thrones you, dude. They Game of Thrones you in a very short time because the fact that you it bummed you out that these characters died really abruptly means that they did a good job
Uh,
developing their backstory and showing and making you care for them. Because
and like
I was bummed when Allie died as well, and I was really bummed when I think it's Claire, right? Is it Claire? No,
uh,
Lilia. When Lilia died,
yeah,
when Lilia
Lilia.
died, that one I was really bummed out because I liked her. She was one of my favorites in this movie, in the show.
And then
Plus,
when
she was dressed as Glinda the Good Witch.
all right, and like another like I know it sounds like I have a lot to complain about. I kind of do. And like the way they introduce Wiccan,
Uh
I
huh.
thought
Yeah.
that was dumb and shit because it retconned everything of what happened in Multiverse of Madness and what Wanda did in that movie.
Well, keep in mind
What
that
do you mean?
Because like the whole
the
reason why
origin of
she
the kids aren't even wasn't even
are
like
not
WandaVision.
real.
It's Mephisto's. No, they were real in one of the universes. Mephisto made them for Wanda and Vision.
Yeah, then she destroys the Dark Grimoire and like it kind it kind of retconned that movie. I know
Well,
it did.
keep in mind there's
It's just
different
Didn't.
been
universes, so you can always make the argument that's a different universe. Because when it comes to Marvel, dude, they have so many origin stories for so many characters is insane.
true,
Spider
but
Man alone has like 50 million origin stories. So
and then also on top of that, it being like it was WandaVision 2.0, which creates a false reality because they're going through an existential crisis.
well, he's Wanda's son, so
Yeah,
it's to be
but
expected.
okay, so but like they could have come up with a way better idea and like not do what they did in WandaVision.
Hmm.
Like they could have made a whole much more interesting story for him and
But
reveal him in a
I
way
thought that
better
was his
way.
story, though. I thought that kind of was his story. That
I honestly I don't know much about him or his
yeah,
brother Speed. I just do know that they are Wanda's children
and Vision's
and they
children.
are and they are twins.
Yeah.
That's like the extent I know about them. But like they're like
Well, yeah. Well, do you know anything about like the Young Avengers?
Hmm.
not too much. I mean, I know some of their names because I read some of the comic books, but I never like really got into the Young Avengers just because, well, there's already so many Avengers, and like there's a shit ton of origin stories, like Ed has mentioned. I don't want to read all that shit again.
Well, I
So
mean that's what kind of what this show was also doing is opening for the next chapter of like the
yeah,
Marvel
I
universe,
I
and
just
it's gonna involve the Young Avengers, which
mm-hmm,
and this is two main big characters from the Young Avengers. Like this is also their origin story.
Hmm.
Like Wiccan is Billy Maximoff. Like
Hmm.
yes,
he is like that is that character's origin story. And his brother, who he's looking for, Tommy, he also gets put into a another kid's body.
that
And
Hmm.
dies.
yeah, he essentially like I mean, maybe not exactly in that way. I don't know exactly how in the comics, but like when those characters are introduced, that is what they're known as, is those are like Wanda Maximoff's
Yeah,
sons,
Yeah,
like
that's one of
but
their
brought
origin
back.
stories.
So yeah, so but then there's the whole, they were connected to Mephisto, which is
Yeah,
why that character was mentioned, because that's probably a character that we're going to be seeing in the Marvel universe soon
I
as
hope so
well.
because I mean
So
that dude has like caused so much chaos. Next to
yeah,
Mister Sinister, he's like right there with just loving to mess with people in the Marvel universe.
yeah,
yeah.
so
I mean, he's technically the devil.
All right. But and also like what's the other witch? The potions witch. What's her name again? Joe?
Jen.
I think Jen.
Jennifer.
Yes,
Yeah,
Jennifer.
Jen
Uh,
Kale. Yeah, she's
I
named after a vegetable.
I like I really liked her too. Like I like these characters. I really do. And they are interesting. It's just I feel like Marvel kind of fumbled with the execution of them. Like
Well,
I want to
these
see
are not original, but new versions of them.
I want to see them more, and I want them I want Marvel to write them better
Well,
because they are
we'll see Jen more because if you remember when Lilia is doing her tarot thing, she mentions the high priestess, and that's who she becomes, right? Isn't that who she becomes?
yes,
Yeah,
she's the high priestess,
yeah,
and but like also like then you find out the reason why she's bounded for her magic is
because of
because of
Agatha.
Agatha, and it's not explained why. So maybe in the next season they'll explain why
Well,
Agatha
Agatha
did
said
that.
she did a blind bind. She wasn't.
But
She was
Yeah,
probably
so
practicing a spell.
that yeah, well,
but
that
can you believe
guy,
Agatha?
well, no,
No.
no. They explain
She's a
it.
fucking liar.
It
Let
gets
Lane finish.
explained. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. So in the first trial, when they start seeing flashbacks, the
Mm-hmm.
the guy that drowns her is the
Mm-hmm.
guy that paid Agatha to do the binding spell to take her magic because he was threatened. They explain it like they're like that society or whatever, like they're male doctors trying to do surgeries and whatnot, and she is pretty much like
Holistic healer.
yeah, and
Mm.
so
Mm-hmm.
the way like what she was doing was helping women have, safe births and using her
And good
magic
skin and like yeah, and it's
and
all natural. It's not
yeah, so that's what she was doing when
Mhm.
she got her power stolen,
Mhm.
and that guy who drowned her was the one who paid Agatha to bind
To
her,
bind her.
and so that's why she assumes that he's the one that took her powers away. And then when she
Uh,
finds out later, yes, it all connects back. There's like a little bit of like, oh, this is what happened episode for this. So
uh, well, I mean, there was a lot I was like kind of like half paying attention to because the episodes they was just I just felt like they were just a little too drawn out with some stuff. So I was like, is it over yet?
well,
I'm
everything's on a trial on a timer.
uh,
It's definitely not a show that I think a lot of guys are gonna like. This
well,
is definitely targeted towards the ladies, girl
well,
power for
that's
me.
true. Okay, yes, it's. I mean, it's about witches, and it is targeted towards women, right? But that doesn't mean you can't write a good story. Like Sex in the City, it's a good show, and that is obviously directed towards women, but it's can still be interesting to men as well. It's just about your character and how you write them and things like that that get people to pay attention. I feel like Marvel was a little lazy with the writing on this show.
I think you just wanted to see more explosions. Some Michael Bay
No,
explosions.
no, no.
Michael Bay explosions.
But and like, but that's pretty much my take. And like, I feel like they could have done better. Like the characters are interesting, although one like Audrey
Aubrey.
Plaza,
Aubrey
uh,
Plaza.
Aubrey
Aubrey,
Plaza.
Rio.
yeah, when they reveal her as Death, I thought that was awesome. Like I
You
thought
can
her
kind of
reveal
tell
was
though.
awesome.
You can kind
Yeah,
of tell.
true, but I thought it was awesome the way it all worked out, and like I would have liked to seen like how her and Agatha hooked up.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
personally, I thought I thought freaking Thanos was trying to impress her. So I don't know if they were both fighting for that version of death or
No,
if
that's
Well,
Thanos.
the
between Deadpool and Thanos.
No, because Thanos is trying to impress Lady Death. Remember?
He is, but like
Yeah.
she likes Deadpool, and then Thanos put a curse on him, so Deadpool can never die, so he
Mm,
can never be with Death.
right. Okay. So you have anything to add to that, Lee?
Well, I mean, you would you rather it have been like a two season show
Yes,
to
I would have.
expand out all of this? You wanted this thing to
Yes.
go on for two seasons, and but you're already complaining about how it went on for too long. Like, what do you mean? I think they did
Well,
in a 9 episode series. I think they did a good job at focusing one whole on each character at least. Um, you know, I get it. Like Alice's death was pretty lame. Like, but it kind of without that happening, like, you know, we wouldn't had the reveal of who like the actual real
Yeah.
teen is,
Hmm.
you know,
Billy.
and then the next is like the episode that pretty much like ties everything together and explains everything.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
With
So I
Lilia
don't, yeah,
and his bar mitzvah.
exactly. And then we found out with a sigil on him,
Hmm.
and we just find out that it was just like, um, it
To
was
give him
all,
time. Hmm.
yeah, everything that happened was
Was
like
for him.
for him, and it was meant to happen. Like, you know what I mean? Like Lilia like saw the future essentially of what was going to be, and obviously, like I said before, this is like a show that's supposed to set up for like the next big chapter. And I thought
Yeah.
for just being like a one season standalone series, because it's not going to get a second season. It's not going to be, there's no good Agatha all along, too. Like,
Because
this
she's
is
dead.
exactly
yeah,
right.
see,
So,
they
this
killed
is
off the
it,
main character.
No, but they set it up
which
so
is,
when Wickens gets his own series, she's probably still gonna be there in a in a Wuya fashion. That also that
yeah,
last
she's going to
episode
be
made me think
that.
of Shaolin
Okay,
Showdown because you
well,
show her as now his advisor, but she's a
his lucky
ghost,
cricket.
and that reminded me of Jack Spicer from Shaolin Showdown and how Wuya was constantly trying to help
All
him,
right,
but he never
so
listened.
okay, so going back to like what Lane said, if I wanted it to be like two seasons, yes, but they could make the pacing a little bit better and make the writing better, so that way it pulls you in more. And I think that's like a lot of my issues with this show is that I did not connect with the writing. I don't I and I just felt like it could have just been done so much better. And then when you get to the big reveal that like Wiccan or Billy created all of this and it was all fake, and I just got done watching WandaVision. So I'm like, okay, so this is a season two of WandaVision. Like I felt like they could have gone in a completely different direction instead of just copy pasting, but changing up the events.
I don't know. I think it was a pretty good way of, explaining like
What happens to Agatha
Billy's power.
or
Yeah.
Billy?
Well,
Yeah,
well, Agatha is an interesting character that like everyone really liked from WandaVision, and everyone
hmm
kind of wanted to see
they
more of
loved her,
her.
dude. The songs,
Yeah.
She is
And
awesome.
just
All
Catherine
right.
Hahn
she
in general, you know.
Oh, you
yeah,
get to
she's
see her
great.
butt in season or in the first episode. Like,
No,
I love that
that
you
was a
remember
definitely
that.
captivating episode. Way to start the show, the series.
yeah, but there's like she
I
got like
gotta
a
say though, I gotta say for 50 51, Homegirl keeps it tight.
no,
No,
but she got
in
a
a
flap
respectful
from
way.
like a daytime TV that said like the first person to show her butt on in a Marvel show or in a Marvel Cinematic
Nice,
Universe.
nice. Yeah,
That's so funny. I forgot that that had even happened. Like I was just like, well, I forgot that it was like on Disney. So I was just like, do do
hmm
do, like because I had been streaming a lot of Hulu
like
stuff through Disney.
Disney, okay, dude. What?
Yeah, and I just forgot. And I was like, whatever. But then you were like, I was like, when did that happen? And I was like, oh yeah, I guess it did for like a half a second.
Hmm.
But it wasn't like it was like a super clear imposed like
No, she was walking away from the camera.
yeah.
No, she was talking to her. Is it her?
No,
By the
she
way,
was talking.
I loved
She was,
her in this show, man. Like
yeah.
I liked her
She's like,
because
you let me run around like this for 3 years.
I just like like her was one of my favorite characters in the show. Not so much because of what he did or how he acted. This guy, after everything that Wanda put him through, he still can't get away from that crap. It's like, and he's like, not another one. It's like, not another one, crazy bad lady, man. Like, are you all seeing this again? Again? I'm surprised he didn't move after the first one.
Yeah.
That's
But
what.
they did say a lot of people did actually leave.
I would
Like
have.
when
Screw
it
it, just
happened, a
play.
lot of people still left. But you know,
I like the fact that the government covered it up as a failed Avengers training exercise. They always got to blame Tony for everything, man.
they sure
It's like
do.
he's dead. We could blame him for stuff still, right? It's like, yeah, sure. In a
Why
way, it kind
not?
of is his fault because had he not made Vision, he wouldn't have gotten with Wanda. Which, by the way, the whole concept to me is just sick. Machines and humans. But I mean, um, I personally I didn't love the show, but I didn't hate it either. There were a couple of things that they could have done better, but just seeing Agatha as Catherine Hahn as Agatha, um, her acting chops are just so funny, dude. I've loved her ever since The Goods. I don't know if you guys ever saw that movie.
Is that
Um,
I
freaking
probably
Step.
have.
live hard, sell hard, the goods?
Yep, that's the one. Step Brothers and Bad Moms, three great movies with her in it. She's so funny. She's one of those like few female comedians that doesn't really need to rely on genitalia jokes or constantly talk about sex or whatever. She's just so funny because she will insult you to she will Alex Trebek you and insult you to your face, but you won't really think anything of it because her smile is so endearing that you kind of like laugh along with her, and she's laughing at you, but you're laughing along with her, which is kind of funny if you think about it. And then of course you have Aubrey Plaza. I mean, I like her too, but in this one she was kind of annoying, mostly because it felt like they told her like, "Hey, be April Ludgate from Parks and Rec, but like amp it up a little bit." And the entire time, she's trying to kill Agatha, but at the same time, she wants to be with Agatha. It's one of those like toxic relationship statuses right there.
Well, I
Well,
mean,
she
he
is
is
dead.
death.
Yeah, she is dead. Yeah.
She wants to
So
kill
you
her, so they're together for eternity. Duh.
No, I know.
you can't, yeah, you can't just have a healthy relationship with death, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. Tell that to everybody who's in love with her, because in any comic universe, almost somebody or a bunch of other people are in love with death in the.
Yeah, there's quite a few people in the Marvel universe that
Yeah,
fall in love with
Darkseid is in
death.
love. It wants to impress Death as well in the DC universe, dude. Like almost every
Hmm.
big guy out there wants to impress Death for some reason. Look how many people I can kill for you.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, the characters, I feel that the characters were written out pretty well. They were a little annoying to me, mostly because I don't know. I find characters that are constantly struggling annoying for some reason. That's why I like Tony. Everything comes easy to him.
What?
But
Like, but that's what makes characters interesting, Ed, is conflict and
easy.
struggle.
Well, hey man, as somebody who think that things aren't that difficult for, it's hard for me to identify with people like that.
Oh.
So when I see people struggling with stuff, I'm like, I can't identify it because even things that I've had challenges with, I can almost always figure out pretty quickly and I surpass it. So when I see that, I'm like, I can't relate to it. But I did like that even though they all started out hating each other at the end, and Lilia even said like, this I consider this my coven, and she was more than happy to die for them. That scene got to me, by the way. Like the scene where she dies when she's killing the Salem Seven. By the way, the Salem Seven suck. They are not
They
good at their
do.
job.
Yeah.
I feel like they could have done the show without them, but I guess they needed motivation, so I guess that's why I threw them in. Also, they kind of reminded me of the Witch Kings from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Even the screeching was like that, dude. That sounds reminiscent to those guys. What are their
Yeah,
Uh,
names,
they
Matt? What are their names?
the
Oh,
starts
secret
with a starts with an
the
N.
Salem 7. What are you talking
no,
about? Or
the
the
same sometimes
Nazgul?
the Gasgul's,
Na-
yeah, but
yeah,
the same the
Gassels.
same dude. Even the way they moved and the way they acted, very reminiscent to them. But like I remember thinking, I'm like, man, these guys are. She took them all out just by dropping them on the ground. She
Well,
literally flipped
yes,
the whole thing on them and caused them to fall to their death, which is pretty badass.
yeah, and like another thing annoying with that was like fucking Disney shoehorning their characters down people's throats.
Everybody
Oh, look,
dressed up
it's
as a different.
Maleficent. Oh, it's the Witch of Snow White. Oh, it's the Wicked Witch of the West or East.
I like that Ilya was Glenda. She was dressed as Glenda. It
Yeah.
made sense for
I
her to be dressed as Glenda because I feel like she was the only one there who probably had the purest intentions. That and Deborah Jo Rupp's character, because Deborah was just along for the ride, and I knew she was gonna die because one, she's not a witch,
Yeah, she's just a lady.
but
she's
I was bummed
but
about that too.
how
But
could you kill everyone's favorite TV mom? Like that's just rude.
Yeah,
well,
but
I
she
mean,
wasn't she
yeah,
wasn't Kitty. They didn't murder
yeah, that's
Kitty.
not Kitty. Yeah, she's still
They
alive.
murdered Davis,
Yeah, I
whose
mean,
husband was already dead anyways.
that's true. Yeah, but um. Other than that, one like I mentioned earlier, one of my favorite episodes was when Alice overcomes her family curse. That also made me think of Bruce Lee, the biopic that they had, and how he also kind of does something like that to overcome his family curse.
Bruce Lee?
I like that this show. Yeah, you don't remember in Dragon the biopic for Bruce Lee?
Oh
So
Which one?
in
There's
the
two
bio,
of them.
the one from
my
the
gosh.
90s, the one from the 90s.
Oh,
So
okay.
in that biopic, he has a moment where he's basically face to face with this generational curse that has been haunting his family. Alice did the same thing. I like that this show made me think of all these other great films, and I think they must either take an inspiration from that, because it was very reminiscent, and the fact that Alice is of Eastern descent as well as Bruce Lee made me think that maybe whoever wrote that episode kind of like is aware of, and that's something that people from Far East do believe in generational curses, but that she overcame it and was able to destroy it through her mom, by the way, because
Hmm.
she found out that the song that her mom wrote was, what is it called, Lane? Like, what was it called? Like a
It was a
curse,
protection.
a
I think it was
protection
like
spell,
a
yeah.
protection spell.
And it would work every time it was played, even though she hated that song. And then she finally ended up playing it, and then she sang her heart out, and destroyed the curse. And she finally felt like this huge weight was lifted off. Granted, yeah, then she dies, and that is pretty like, it's one of those things like, oh man, all that work for nothing.
Yeah, that's
But
exactly what I
like I
was
said,
talking about.
they were Game of Throning us. They were Game of Throning. They're making you fall in love with these characters, and then nope, that's as far as they
Yep.
go. But that just shows the way that a character is written well. If you can develop feelings for a character in a show that quickly, that shows that they were written pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's my take. I mean, like I said, like I'm not a fan of fantasy and stuff like that. But this is one of the few shows that I would probably recommend to somebody if they want to see like a bonding moment and people overcoming struggles, and overall even Agatha learned something, because be despite her appearance and her facade and how she acts, this is a broken woman who lost her son and is just taking it out on the world.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah,
was the
I
that's
reason
think
she
that
true.
was
was like
afraid.
a
And that was
really
and
good
you find out
story.
that was the reason she stayed alive for so long. She was so sad to see her son in the afterlife, because she couldn't protect them. And the reason she was harvesting witches' souls, I'm guessing she was kind of using that to kind of keep them alive, right? Like she was maybe casting
Yeah.
spells.
Well, I think what happened was I think Agatha's son was somehow like created with Agatha and Rio, like or Agatha and Death. Like
Well,
there's
when she's
like
having him, she says, I made you from scratch. I didn't use any incantations," which means that she might have manifested him out of the love for Rio. And when
yes.
Rio said, like, "Hey, I gotta take him," she's like, "Give me more time." And Rio gave her
Yeah.
6 years, so I mean, it's not enough. I mean, no parent ever wants to. And by the way, that scene kind of like really, it was a gut punch for me because when you're a parent, you see that stuff. Like, no loving parent wants to bury their kid.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's like the cruelest thing for a parent is to outlive your child.
well, for a
Like,
loving parent.
yeah.
You ask Lionel Luthor that I don't think he'll care. But seeing that transition of
Or
Agatha,
any type of Lannister.
yeah, seeing
Yeah.
Agatha just turn into who she is and seeing that, like, okay, I understand why she is the way she is.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
think, that's why she was harvesting those souls was because it was a way to like kind of appease
Yeah.
Death to try to keep
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
him around longer. And
Yeah.
because she's like, all I can do is give you time. And I think she was just kind of doing that to like
Keep her
here's
busy. She
yeah,
needs some souls, yeah.
here's some souls to like keep you doing stuff. So it just was like, he started kind of getting a little sick or whatever, but
You can
whatever.
see
But
it
I
too,
think,
because his eyes
yeah,
started getting a little runny and bloodshot. It's sad.
yeah. But then it was just like, I think it was that point where like he didn't want to lure the witches so
No.
Agatha can like steal their power. It was like right after that happened, it was like that's when like Rio came and
Well, if you
like
keep in
took him
mind in
away.
that
Yeah.
scene where he decides like, no, let's not harvest witches today, and he even tells Agatha like, we can do it tomorrow, mom. Like I felt
Hmm.
like, so since she didn't harvest any souls, I'm thinking that's when Rio decided like, well, you didn't keep your end of your
Yeah.
bargain, so ni modo.
Yeah,
Like,
I think that's what it
and
was.
and it sucks because Agatha obviously loved Rio. I think she still did. And
Yeah.
when she took him, like that, just like not only did it break her heart that she lost a son, but she lost her lover as well.
Yeah.
And that just like anytime you see a villain's origin story, it's almost always from heartbreak. You know,
Yeah. But then you
Mm.
and then but
I said
then
almost always.
I
Sometimes
was
they're
gonna
just
say
dicks.
Palpatine. There's no
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
heartbreak for
Sometimes they're
him.
just dicks.
yeah. So there was like that scene where they're on the witch's road and they're kind of like sharing stories like
Yeah.
and Rio explains like um the worst thing that's like ever to happen to her was she had to like it said like something bad happened between her and Agatha, but
Hmm.
she had to do it because she didn't have a choice or
Yeah,
whatever.
I mean, she didn't
And of
do it out of
course,
hate.
yeah.
It's a
And so
natural
then
order.
I'd like that they finally like explained what was that she said.
Oh yeah.
Um, and then, they explained what it was at the last episode. And then,
Hmm.
also how the witch's road wasn't real. And
Yeah.
I thought it was like a really cool, interesting thing and how it was like their song. It was just a sweet, sweet little episode that like kind of tied everything
Hmm.
together about how it was never something that was real. It was all just like Billy Maximoff, like,
Existential crisis.
yeah, freaking out, like, like making himself believe, like, that he could do it. That's why everything is about the road is like connected. And I love like how everything in his room is tied together to like how the road was pieced together.
Hmm.
And then the whole time they were just like underneath Eastview, just
Hmm.
underground. And then that's when like, Mrs. Davis was like, "Oh, the only thing I would suspect down here was a bunch of like old railroad systems." And so that's why you see that on the road it was like the exit or whatever. So
Hmm.
they could have just been walking around on
The
the rail
railroad tracks.
track just down there, and he just manifested into a road. Like, I don't know, it's like I just thought it was a really cool
Mm-hmm.
like way how to like explain like I don't know. I just thought it was
Basically,
a
the
cool
events that
little
unfolded.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Do I think it's the best thing out there? No, no. But I think in a lot of the stuff that like
Marvel has
Marvel
put
has
out.
been coming out with,
It was a good
like
change of pace.
series wise, I think this was a fun little thing to like stir it up, mix it up a little bit. You're only getting
Mm-hmm.
one season of it. It was only 9 episodes, okay? Like it's fine. Like they got a little thing to play with, so they did the
And who
best
knows? It might
with
end.
what they could.
It might
They could
turn into
you
more
do,
because
yeah.
the season did well. Like almost every episode, scored at about a 7 or higher. The
Yeah.
highest rated one I think was the second to the last one, and I got the thing right here. No, episode 7 got a 9.1. That was the
That's
highest
the
rated one.
Lilith. That's the
That was
Lilith episode.
that's literally
I
yep.
really love that episode. I love how it tied all the weird cookie shit she'd been saying the
Yeah,
whole time. And
yeah,
Patty LuPone like played that role
yeah.
like
She did
so
so good.
well, like
I'm a fan of
so
her stuff,
fun.
man.
Yeah, she did that so great. And yeah, I don't know. I thought it was fun. I thought it was a fun change of pace. Now we're gonna get to like more
The
Robert
what?
Downey Jr. Back to Robert Downey Jr. Marvelverse.
Yeah, but
which is dumb.
I mean,
I know.
I guess.
I
A topic for another episode. But
yeah.
do you have any closing thoughts on the season lane, or maybe something you would like to see in the future derived from this?
Well, I know we're definitely gonna get Young Avengers,
Hmm.
and I definitely think we're not going to be done with Wanda, obviously. I think she's going to come back, and I think this was kind of like a hint because in the comics,
Well,
the
that
way
Beezy
that,
can't die.
well, in the comics, her children who have come back to life in different new bodies, they're the ones that are actually able to like
Bring her back.
bring her back because there's a whole storyline where she and Doctor Doom turn into a thing because she
Hmm.
gets so that's exactly I feel like what's gonna happen, and I
This
think
chick is shagging up with
that's
anybody that can give her those damn kids, dude.
well, I don't know, I think she has like amnesia or something and she doesn't
Yeah, she has
remember.
amnesia. Yeah, Billy and his brother do find a way to bring her back. Because I mean, once they reunite, their obvious first concern is to bring her back because they can't bring Vision back. So I forget how or how it goes about, but when they bring her back, Victor Von Doom is already acting out some kind of like plot, and they
Hmm.
just kind of like clash with each other, and then Wanda and him kind of develop a thing, and it turns into a whole thing. But if they explore that aspect of that storyline, it might be good because one, it'll bring in the mystical side of the Marvel universe, and we also get to see more, giant explosions and stuff like that,
Yeah.
which is what Matt wants.
No, I don't need giant explosions. Just better writing. That's all I ask for. Don't
I mean,
set up the.
I would have preferred a little more action, but I mean, for the show that what it is of what type of show it was, it did fine.
Yeah, like I said,
Mhm.
it's fine. Like you're just so I feel like nothing really makes you happy, Matt. So
You're
and
probably right. I mean,
it's not about music. You're just like this is
and
fucking.
no, what it is that Endgame ended so perfectly, and
You
then
still
like,
can't let it go.
yeah, I can't. You can't fucking top that. Like I am Iron Man snaps his finger, saves everybody, and he dies a fucking hero. And they just want to
Yeah.
keep pushing this shit out.
Well, they're gonna keep doing it until every actor dies, and they can just recast new characters. Because Logan, he's stuck till he's 90. They already
Yeah,
announced
according
it
to Netflix,
until you're
which
fucking 90.
that was a good movie, by the way. It's on Disney Plus now.
Yeah,
Like,
but
watch
yeah,
it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hmm.
Agatha all along is on Disney Plus, folks. Like Lane said, 9 episodes, about 45 minutes apiece. it's a quick watch if you just want to see something, especially with just Catherine Hahn is in it. I feel like
Yeah, it's
that
just
should
the
be the.
cast is so
I
good.
just feel
Just
like
they're
just that should be like the
funny.
main selling point. Like honestly, when it was first announced that that's what piqued my interest. The fact that we got to see Catherine again, because she was just so good in Wanda. I liked her in Wanda.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like I said, I love Catherine Hahn. She's just really funny, and she always makes me laugh. She didn't make me laugh that much in this one, but she wasn't trying to be funny.
Yeah.
So I gave her a pass on that one. Honestly, the only one that made me laugh was Herb,
Yeah.
but that's because he's just a poor guy just trying to live his life. But
Yeah, it's pretty funny, but I don't know. I enjoyed it. I thought it
mm,
had like a decent amount of humor and
mhm. Oh no, I
funniness
definitely
and
had plenty of humor, especially when they were kind of like bonding in each scenario. Like
hmm
everyone, expressing the strengths, and Agatha just like constantly fighting it, just not wanting to bond with any of them. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. It's just fun. I think it had some good character development for Agatha for sure.
yeah. Honestly, it felt like a campfire series, like one of those like summertime coming of age stories.
It
A
was
little
like a
bit,
fun Halloween
yeah, yeah,
show. It was
yeah.
happening like around Halloween time. It was a
Hmm.
fun little Halloween of witches, Hocus Pocus,
Hmm. It
Sabrina,
did give me
all of that
a bit
stuff.
of focus vibes.
Yeah, it's just fun, campy
Yeah, don't listen to
witch
Matt, folks.
story.
Check it
Yeah,
out for
like oh
yourself.
my
I
gosh,
mean,
yeah, don't let Matt ruin anything for you. He's a miserable, grouchy man.
Like I needed to see some Michael Bay explosions. I mean,
hey,
don't get me wrong.
hey,
I'm the
there's
same
no
way. If it's
Michael
not
Bay
sci-fi,
explosions. There's no Michael Bay explosions in Supernatural, okay? And that
yes,
show
there
is just
is.
top notch. Okay?
Not everything is supernatural. Like
Yeah,
that's its own thing. Why don't you let supernatural be supernatural?
yeah. But
Because I'm just saying, I know that not everything's like Supernatural, but the quality of work for that show is just so good.
we'll do a show
Yeah,
about
it
do
also
an
went on for
episode.
like 10 fucking seasons,
We'll do an
12
episode.
15.
seasons.
Do an episode
Really?
about
15.
Oh
it.
my gosh. Okay.
Do an episode about it, and Lane and I will dump on it. But yeah, definitely check it out, folks. Let us know what you think about it in the comments. If you're on my channel, if you're on Spotify, let us know as well. As always, please remember hit that follow, like, and subscribe. Reach us on Instagram. We're there daily, literally just talking about what we're going to be talking about on the next episode. Um, as always, comments are welcome. Matt will argue with you all day if you want him to. And
I won't argue. I will respond and talk to you. But if you start some shit, you best believe I'm going to come at you.
but yeah, definitely hit us up. But and as always, thank you for tuning in. And with that being said, everybody said bye.
The
Bye.
fuck was that? All right. Bye.